I still remember the exact tone of her voice, not loud, not angry, just confident enough to hurt. "Sir, you'll need to move. This cabin is reserved for premium passengers." I looked up slowly like I was waking from a thought I hadn't finished yet. Around me, first class was already full of that quiet, polished energy. Leather seats, low voices, people pretending not to stare while absolutely staring. A few phones were angled just enough to record without looking obvious. I was wearing a dark hoodie, old sneakers jeans that had seen better days. My briefcase wasn't new. Nothing about me screamed anything worth respecting. I handed her my boarding pass. Calm, polite, seat 1A. She didn't even take it at first. Just smiled, thin practiced. That must be a mistake. That was the moment. Not the words, the assumption behind them. She finally scanned the pass, frowned, tapped her tablet harder than necessary. "Sir, our system shows you're supposed to be in economy." I felt that familiar pressure in my chest. Not anger, something older. The feeling you get when you realize someone decided who you were before you ever spoke. "I booked this seat 3 weeks ago," I said. "First class, paid in full." A man across the aisle leaned forward, shaking his head like I was a child holding up dinner. "Come on, buddy. Just take the other seat. No need to make a scene." The flight attendant nodded at him, relieved to have backup. Exactly. These things happen when people aren't familiar with the booking process. People. I glanced around. 12 faces. 12 judgments. No one had actually checked anything. I pulled out my phone and showed her the digital pass. Same result. Same dismissal. She sighed. "Sir, I'm going to ask you one last time to move." I stayed seated, buckled, still calm. Not because I was confident things would work out, but because I'd learned something a long time ago. Once you raise your voice, the story stops being about the truth. The captain showed up a minute later, tall, crisp uniform, authority in every step. He didn't look at my pass, didn't look at my ID, barely looked at me, looked. "Sir, you're delaying departure. Take your correct seat or we'll involve security." I met his eyes. I am in my correct seat. He laughed, not loudly. Worse. I've been flying for 16 years. I know a scam when I see one. That word scam hung there, heavy. Security came. More phones came out. Someone started whispering numbers, delay time, missed connections, blame. All of it landed on me. When the officer finally asked for my boarding pass, he actually read it, long enough for doubt to creep in. "Sir, this does say first class." The flight attendant jumped in immediately. They know how to manipulate the system. Those words did something to the room. Even people who had been half listening snapped to attention. The officer looked at me, then at her. "Would you mind stepping off the plane so we can verify everything at the gate?" I nodded, stood up. No resistance. Not because I was wrong, but because I knew what was coming next didn't need a stage. At the gate it got worse before it got better. A supervisor showed up, all confidence, and clipped syllables. She reviewed my documents carefully, then handed them back. "Well," she said, "everything appears valid. However, due to the disruption, it's best we reseat you in economy, or you can take the next flight." That's when I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was predictable. "What disruption?" I asked. "You argued with the crew," she said flatly. I looked around. 30 people now. Recording, watching, waiting for something to break. I checked my watch. Old habit. "May I speak with your regional manager?" I asked. She laughed out loud this time. "You can file a complaint online like everyone else." That's when I reached into my briefcase and pulled out a card. Just one. I handed it to her without ceremony. She read it once, then again. Her face changed, not dramatically, just enough, like the ground shifting under her feet. The whispers started immediately. Someone Googled. Someone cursed under their breath. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. "Sir?" Her voice dropped an octave. "Why didn't you say who you were?" I smiled, not kindly, not cruelly, just honestly, because it shouldn't matter. That was when her phone rang. She answered, put it on speaker without realizing it. "Yes, yes, I'm with him now." A pause, then her shoulders sank. I finally spoke again, calm, measured. "I don't want an apology. I don't want compensation, and I definitely don't want this handled quietly." Everyone leaned in. "I want this handled correctly." Phones were everywhere now. The delay was official. So was the mess. I explained slowly, clearly what had gone wrong. Not one mistake. A chain of them. Assumptions, shortcuts, confidence without verification. I've been underestimated my entire life, I said. Sometimes because of how I look. Sometimes because of how I dress. Sometimes because people think power has a uniform. I looked directly at the flight attendant. She couldn't meet my eyes. This isn't about me getting embarrassed, I continued. It's about the next person who won't have the leverage I do. Silence. The call ended. Another one started. Then another. By the time they finally cleared the situation, the cabin crew had changed. Policies were already being discussed. Names were being written down. When I walked back onto the plane, the energy was completely different. Not celebratory. Reflective. A woman a few rows back leaned toward me and whispered, "How did you stay so calm?" I sat down. Buckled in again. Same seat. "Because anger only fixes moments," I said. "Systems fix patterns." The plane pushed back late, almost an hour. No one complained. As we lifted off, I looked out the window and felt something unexpected, not triumph, not relief. Clarity. I didn't win anything that day. I just refused to surrender my dignity to someone else's assumptions. And I keep thinking about that first sentence I heard. This section is for premium passengers. So, I'll leave you with this question, and I really want to hear your answer in the comments. Do you think money changes how people treat you? Or does it just reveal who they were all along?